I know we still have 2025 to talk about, but what is this little teaser that you posted recently?
Just in my world travels, obviously trying to secure money from wealthy elderly men to fund these events. So we found someone, and I reckon we're going to do one single 16-man tournament for 2026. If I can even be bothered doing it. It's a thankless gig. It is a thankless gig.
CJI fans, if you are trying to be in the Thomas and Mack Arena August 30th and 31st, head to CJI2.com because the quickest and best way to secure your tickets will be through the mailing list before they go on sale to the public. On this episode of On Borrowed Time, we speak about the European Misfits trial, first with Craig and then the European Misfits coach, Faris. Welcome into another episode of On Borrowed Time with Craig Jones. And a lot of people have been saying that I am too professional. So Craig, we got to start out this episode with a bang. What is your body count?
My body count?
Fuck! Man!
We do have to talk about a lot of the action that did happen this past weekend. I'm surprised that Anthony and Aaron are still alive right now.
Action. Anthony and Aaron did get a lot of action this weekend. Actually, we're talking about body counts.
We are so excited to talk about the CJI European trials, but we did not get to see it live. But you were there in person. It seemed a little bit rowdy. How was the experience for you guys and all the tequila intake?
As you know, I didn't partake in any of that, but yeah, it was a more fun. It was more fun vibes. You know, we loaded up with tequila. Faris had all that prearranged. He had showgirls arranged. Obviously, that wasn't in the budget, but Anthony paid out of his own pocket to have women present at the event. And yeah, just we wanted to keep this one. I mean, we didn't have a chance to get the pit ready. Like we did. Lachlan Giles has got that sub-meta BJJ fanatics money. The man can make things happen. Faris is not there yet, so we had to do the best with what we could. And it was just all around fun vibes.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a crazy time. Charles was like pouring beer from upstairs. A lot of people have been very curious about Frederick and if he is going to be participating in CJI 2. So you mentioned him in the last episode. You flew him out to be a referee, but what is the current status of his participation in CJI 2?
Yeah, we wanted him in the trials. Plus, I wanted to fly him out just to have a good look at him. And obviously our new camerawoman has a crush on him. So those are the things we do for our employees here. So we brought Freddie out. Marcin obviously won it. And then we'll throw some cash around. We'll see if Marcin wants to face Freddie further down the line. But he's earned his spot, so we're not going to make him fight him. But obviously that's an incredible opportunity with all the hype behind Freddie Vosgrove. If Marcin wants to double down, get paid, and beat Freddie Vosgrove for the spot. But we're not going to force him to do that. I think that'd be a bit unfair.
And we always know that Paddy Pimblett gains a lot of weight between fights. But I was like, oh my gosh, it's like Paddy Pimblett gained a lot of muscle in Frederick.
Yes, like steroided up, massive Frankenstein-looking Paddy Pimblett for sure.
There was some breaking news that you had on your Instagram. It was some type of handshake with a man that seemed to be in agreement on another 16-man bracket for 2026. I know we still have 2025 to talk about, but what is this little teaser that you posted recently?
Just in my world travels, obviously trying to secure money from wealthy elderly men to fund these events. So we found someone, and I reckon we're going to do one single 16-man tournament for 2026. If I can even be bothered doing it. It's a thankless gig. It is a thankless gig.
It definitely is a thankless gig because in the last post, I think a lot of people were starting to come at Craig Jones a little bit, starting to say things like, why doesn't Craig Jones ever think about the woman? There should be a whole nother division for the woman. And I get it. You know, we heard last year that Fionn really wanted divisions for last year, but there hasn't been all the news released yet. So do you have any message for the people that are kind of coming at you hard?
I mean, it's very, very difficult. Like if we're taking loans, you take a loan from a bank, they want to know what you're going to do with that money. They want to know it's basically a solid business plan. And this is no skin off the women's back, but I'm not getting government grants for this. You know what I mean? Where they want to know we're going to be able to pay back that loan or it's on my head. I would suggest that if there's a woman out there that feels confident that she can take a loan against her personal assets and put on a 16-woman division and is confident that she can, through the sale of tickets and sponsorships, make that money back, then maybe we can talk and you can put your money where your mouth is. But until then, we do have things in the works for women's. We are being held back by competitors in the field that might potentially be blocking certain athletes from participating in our event, especially certain athletes that do have quite a powerful women's agenda in the sport that might have simply thought about themselves and their contract, not what's better for the female athlete pool as a whole. So I wouldn't be too quick to judge just yet.
Wow, well, you did bring up the fact that if there's someone that can bring out their own money, I think Erin and I can handle this function. She's in the back there somewhere, so we will start planning how we're gonna put together a 16-woman bracket, because I think we have the skill to like network like you do and get billionaires to give you a lot of money. Do you have faith in us, Craig?
You guys would be like the Fire Festival, hey? Disappear with that money, never see you again.
Oh my gosh, that would be insane. We still have to peer pressure you to go to a music festival. Craig, have you ever been to a music festival before?
Of course, we do a music festival, you know, but
I feel like you're a little bit like high maintenance
you know, Alex,
for a festival.
Once we age out of these things, we need to let it go, you know?
Yeah, like aging out of a choker like this. I kind of am feeling like an angsty teen, and I was just like, you know what? That's what we're going for, since I haven't bought any new jewelry, since you're the one that buys all the new jewelry and the golden chains. At least it's not on your microphone this time. Like last episode, a lot of people were complaining. They're like, why is Craig's audio never working? And I'm like, dude, he is being a cholo and just getting in the way.
Well, I had a choice. Jewelry for myself or a women's division. You know what we chose.
You selfish bastard. We do have a lot of questions from the fans. A lot of them had to do with the women's divisions, which I'm sure there will be future news dropping eventually. Hey friends, while we're on the topic of women's divisions, this interview that I shot with Craig was obviously earlier in the week. There has been some major news. On May 28th, Craig posted a photo, women's divisions for $100K on the B team's credit card. If you guys have any ideas on which 4 athletes should be in that $100K 4-woman tournament, let us know and we'll get right back to the interview. Is there any updates on ticket release? Because that's what a lot of the fans were wondering.
Is there any update on ticket release, Anthony?
I would be very tuned to your mailing list, CJI2.com. You need to sign up this week. News extremely soon.
Anthony's all over that. Check the mailing list. If you're not on the mailing list, you are going to miss out.
So be on your email. If you are at CJI1, you are destined for an early ticket release, because we are trying to reward the loyalty of people who are at CJI1. And that actually brings us to another topic of loyalty, Craig, because one of the fan questions—
problem in your life, Alex. Nah.
One of the questions from the fans happened to ask about Owen O'Flanagan, a guy that is obviously one of the best European grapplers, not participating in the trials. Can you give us a little bit of an update on that?
Well, he did say he had a seminar booked for that time period. I believe it was in Belgium, but he was able to show up to the event and I was able to get him drunk and make sure he missed his flight. So he could have competed. There was no conflict of interest there. Me and his longtime girlfriend had a big discussion about loyalty there and why after 11 years of friendship, he hasn't proposed yet. So a lot of moving parts here. Owen, he wanted to be fairly compensated to compete against these two guys in the tournament, and we didn't really have the budget to stretch to include him to get the compensation he feels he deserves. So that was really what held us back there. Obviously, it would have been lovely to have Owen in the event, but couldn't do it. Couldn't afford it. You know, the salary you demand, Alex, is so astronomically high.
It's taking away from the children, from the fighters. To play devil's advocate, I guess we're looking at Levi Jones-Leary and Lucas Canard. They had awesome submissions at CJI 1. Was that something that kind of got them to have their spot locked in? And then when you look at someone like Owen Jones, who has their spot locked in for Europe, his is more ADCC performance and different things. So what kind of was the argument for Owen needing to earn his spot?
I mean, yeah, definitely a recency bias there, but also a little bit of coach's discretion there. But we wanted to push. If it was a tightly contested division, like I think unquestionably in Australia, Levi, he didn't need to earn his spot in the 77, 88. Just the fact that Lucas Canard submitted Victor Hugo, and Victor Hugo's got 4 victories over Nicky Rod, and obviously Nicky Rod won the $1 million. Like I think goes out question that those two guys wouldn't have to earn their spot. Owen has had fantastic runs, especially his ADCC run, but yeah, I think it would have been great to have him out there. I think he probably would have taken out that bracket, to be honest, but we couldn't afford the cheap bastard.
Hey, I mean, we are on a budget. Obviously, Faris was on a budget. He spent it all on the Showgirls. Didn't get the live stream going, but there is going to be a documentary coming out. How excited are you for this documentary to come out? And what should we do to punish Faris if it isn't Emmy award winning?
Well, I think it's going to be good. It's probably, given a lot of the things that were going on at this event, it's probably good that there wasn't a live stream. We had Anthony over there recording the matches, or filming the matches on Instagram Live. But I think given some of the horrific things I saw and that my employees, including the 2 in this room, did during the event, thank God we have a bit of editing control there from Josh from Grapple Club.
Thank goodness. So there's no teasers on some of the action that was going on in the back.
I'm sure you can imagine, Alex, you've been in the back alongside that many times.
Alongside the bongo banging and the waterfalls. I don't actually even know what the waterfalls means. I'm just using it as an inside joke that I don't understand anymore. Okay, but we do have to talk about the little bit of controversy that happened at the end there. Please describe to me the energy of going through the 88 kilogram, maybe not the most entertaining match, having it go to overtime.
You said that. I didn't say that.
And then hearing Faris say that it is going to be an ADCC rule set in a CJI trials, which kind of favors Paul Ardilla, considering Taylor Pearman isn't exactly known for his wrestling. So there was a lot of talk in the gym at the time. What was your impression of the situation?
I mean, the reality is the coaches can pick whatever rule set they want, right? So like, I give them leeway. They're building a 5-man team. They can host the trials in any rule set they want, and they can basically be biased if they want to be biased. If they want this guy to win, they can give him an easier run. They can make the rule set around that easier for the guy they want to win, because obviously the person they want to win is the person they feel is better suited to their team in a team's format. So really, like, I don't think it's all that crazy whatever he does, because he's trying to pick who he feels would best represent Team Europe. And unfortunately for them, that's an American.
Yeah, the way that worked out is kind of interesting. When you found out that Paul was going to be trying out for the European squads instead of going the American Misfits route, what was your reaction?
Obviously you have a very close relationship with Paul, and you sent me the clip of him complaining on your show about it, and he was very confused.
He was not complaining. He was
saying
butt licking.
Very defensive there, Alex. Whose ass he had to kiss to get in there. Obviously, Faris was the one, and Faris brought him on board. Some people might say, well, Charles Negromonte is Brazilian and shit, but like, I mean, I'm not gonna like hold the passport standards for this wild card position. Charles has been in London for a very, very, very long time. I think close to 15 years, maybe. I'm not going to be that arsehole that's like, oh, where's your European or UK passport? You know what I mean? So it's like Paul was kind of fighting as if he was a wild card alternate position.
And you're saying and kind of accusing me of having PGF athlete favoritism. I can't help but show some love
I thought it
for
was
the
just
guys.
handsome lawyer biased, but I could be wrong.
No, I'm a Marcin Machulovic fan as well. Come on now, Craig. But we do know you have your favorites, like your long-lost cousin, Owen Jones. That's why he just gets the easy walk-in at CJI. But no, these guys from PGF, they have to work their ass off at trials because Craig wants his butt licked.
You said that with quite a bit of authority there. I don't know how I feel about that. Owen's got a lot of hype behind him. Owen made a big sacrifice by jumping out of the B team, going to Europe. You know, we appreciate that. So I feel as well with the hype behind him and his performance at ADCC. And really, he would have done CJI if we had a spot for midgets. But last time was just over 80 kilos, so it's really no position for him. But I think his dangerous submission game that he showed at ADCC earned him that spot.
And I definitely think now this team is stacking up to be very, very strong. We have Paweł Jaworski, who is also known as the Polish leg-locking prophecy, kind of stepping in for Mateusz Szczecinski. So how do you think that replacement ultimately works out for Team Europe?
I mean, I think it's really good. Like, Szczecinski is probably the most dangerous guy in Europe, without question, because he sits at a weight division where he can submit those bigger guys. Like, obviously, guys like Owen can, but it's going to be very difficult. So if Szczecinski thinks that this kid's got what it takes, given how dangerous he is, I tend to believe it. I've seen him put in some very strong performances in competition. He looked really good at our event. I think he even flew out to compete the next day, won that. So, yeah, I think he's sort of a bit of a dark horse that some of the more established names from the other teams out there might not take as serious as they should. Everyone knows about how good Szczecinski is and will probably play a stalling approach against him, whereas they're probably going to be more inclined to think they can submit this kid, which is going to lead to more exchanges that might allow this kid to get some big submissions over some famous grapplers.
And before we move on to what you have coming up next, we do have to talk a little bit about your trip to Manchester. That's happening in a little bit, 4-hour ride, and you're going to meet up with Tom Aspinall?
Yeah, we'll go train with Tom Aspinall. I think Paul Hughes is flying in as well, so get some good training in up there. I'm not sure Tom's plans or the UFC's plans with that heavyweight belt, but it'd be good to just spend some time with Tom. Seems like a lovely fella.
He does seem like a lovely fella, and Lancaker also seemed like a lovely fella. He was really just like chain smoking those cigarettes. Is that usual for him?
It is usual. He has a theory on it. We might have to get him interviewed. He has a theory about smoking cigarettes as an athlete, probably similar to Sakaraba's theory. But yeah, Tommy was there to support his teammate, and he drunkenly convinced me to come to Norway and made me shake on it. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, Tommy's a character. He's probably chain smoking because of the stress, knowing that he can't participate in Team Europe because he's injured. We'd love to have Tommy in there. One of a kind.
Yeah, the injuries that it seems like is going around is plaguing a lot of athletes that are super fun to watch. But I do want to talk about the one announcement that we did make, one championship. We haven't really announced any athletes, but I remember the jiu-jitsu world was flipped upside down when it was not just Ty Rotolo, it was Cade Rotolo as well that was leaving ADCC to join CJI. A lot of people didn't think it could be done because of the exclusivity contracts that go on with one championship. But now you're letting us know that a former enemy, Tom Duplass, is being really easy to work with.
Yeah, Tom's awesome. Tom represents the grapplers for one championship, and basically he gave us full approval that we could use any of his athletes. Like, it's an open book there. Flow Grappling as well, especially now I'm the CEO of Flow Sports, so we've got all those approvals there. And then there's just obviously one elephant in the room that will not allow us to use our athletes, which is disappointing for the sport. But as far as I know, they really haven't signed too many athletes that are crucial to putting on the best event we can put on. So I don't think it's going to hold us back in any way.
Very interesting. And I feel like that leads to some of these fan questions. Not sure your level of wanting to share all the information, but one fan asked, what about the Tackets?
Can't talk about the Tackets.
Can't talk about the Tackets. They're over there in North Austin, training hard and staying ready. We also have a question saying, any plans for a seminar in Germany?
Yes, Spitfire BJJ, June 7th 2 p.m. with a follow-up at the Berghain.
Voorhees Jiu-Jitsu asks, will you give Toehold a sponsorship but ask for the money up front?
I would allow them to use my name in any way, shape, or form to just be petty and ruin that villain's life. But yeah, I love watching that drama play out, and I love contributing to it. So I'm in full support of the endangered animal sandals now.
So what exactly is the drama? It used to be like Gordon and Toehold in business together, and I guess some money wasn't delivered, and now there's exposing of screenshots and different things.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. I really have no idea. I've just picked a side with going in with no information, but I'm sure, given everything surrounding Gordon's failed website, book launch, and all that, that the blame probably doesn't lie on Toehold in this particular situation. So, based on my own personal experience, and we did just release yesterday a $1,500 cuckold deck chair that sold out immediately.
It was a very simple looking chair. Like, it didn't look comfy.
You shouldn't be too comfortable in the cuck chair. I think you might lose something very important to you if you spend time in that chair.
When I was watching some old Fight Pass Invitationals, Fight Pass Invitational 3, Gordon Ryan says something along the lines of, whatever it takes to grow the sport, I will do. So that leads me to this question from a fan that says, since the Ryan brothers aren't competing, is there any chance that they could be on the commentary booth? It would help grow the sport. Gordon said that he'd do anything to help grow the sport. If he was there, I think that could grow it even more.
It's a good question. I reckon that's a question you fans should ask him. I feel like he'll probably want to be there to support Team New Wave, to be honest. As much of a dick as he is, he'd probably want to be there to support his teammates. I'd imagine he'll be there, but in a coaching capacity rather than a commentary capacity.
That will be very interesting to see if he actually shows up. I don't know. He said that he would rather take a bullet to the head than compete, but he didn't really mention coaching.
Well, I think we could
a little bit of ambiguity.
We could crowdfund that bullet for him quite easily, I think.
So the UFC Fight Pass rules coming up for this upcoming Thursday are officially changed. After CJI, I think a lot of people recognize that the 10-point must system and the rounds are very successful for entertainment purposes at CJI. Now they implemented that 2 events later for Fight Pass Invitational. Polaris did the same thing, except they kind of gave you credit and mentioned that they were taking inspiration from the CJI event. I noticed your comment on the Fight Pass Invitational Instagram of the rules, and you basically just...
I might have to cut it. We gotta go. I gotta go. We leave a bit of ambiguity there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're
checking
So,
Adios!
see ya.
You really never know what might happen during a Craig Jones interview. We unfortunately got interrupted by the cops that were looking for Anthony, Aaron, and Craig after all the illegal activity that took place at Los Banditos. And speaking of which, we got to talk to the man responsible for putting on the European Misfits trials. It is Coach Faris. We are being joined by Coach Faris, who is coming off of a very eventful weekend over there in Los Banditos. Things were getting a little crazy, Fight Club energy. What is your initial thoughts after a pretty big weekend when a lot of doubters were saying, how is Fardino going to be able to pull this off, trials in less than a month?
Well, I don't know if you could tell, you probably hear through the interview, I'm losing my voice. I pretty much lost my voice at the event from screaming. It was chaos. It was mad. It was everything that we basically wanted it to be. And yeah, everyone who was there enjoyed it, from the spectators to the fighters, even people who don't really watch jiu-jitsu so much. They loved it, and I think this is what's gonna bring more people to our sport. We want events like this, so that people can enjoy and have fun. It was chaos, but yeah, we smashed out the park, especially on the short notice that we had.
Yeah, it was definitely very rowdy, and you also got a lot of people to come, including Craig Jones, Seth Bilal were in the building, and then you also had Frederick Vosgron there, who is the German Neanderthal. He was originally there just to ref, but can you give me a little bit of background on him?
Freddie's been in the game for a while. I've known Freddie even before he blew up on social media. He's a great guy, super nice guy. We were fortunate enough to have him come down, and he was having a great time, and even going to judge the events, so Many people probably don't know this, but he's super experienced in jiu-jitsu and he's ref a lot. So I could trust the judge's hands to be in Mr. Voskaren's hands. And, who better not to get than this new star to come to the crazy event. Crazy guy, crazy event. That's what we need, right? Everything was just mental, right? From the judges to Craig being there and Seth. Yeah, it was a blast.
I think I had an insider tell me that it was Frederick that was like on the upper level spraying down beer or something.
Freddie didn't pour the beer, but Charles and Charles Negromonte are minus 99. He was like definitely throwing a lot of the beer winnings, right? But even though athletes were coming over there, yo, where's my beer, Charles? Where's my beer? And they're standing like trying to take the beer and getting showered with alcohol. So yeah, it was funny. Don't worry, guys. As well, we cleaned them out straight after for the next match, so people weren't slipping over beer while they were fighting as well.
I might have mixed the two up then. Charles was the one up top going crazy, and he is going to be on the team as well. He was just locked in, and I guess Craig Jones has a liking to him just because of one of the great submissions that he had at ADCC. So the two locked-in spots originally was your guy at 66, Owen Jones, and then Charles Negromonte. But now we have just confirmed the wild card is Charles, and also the trials winner.
The wild card is Paul. So Charles is obviously he's been here in Europe and London for like 15 years. So yeah, he's pretty much part of the family. So yeah, he won't necessarily be our wild card, but yeah, Paul Ardilla is essentially our wild card.
And Paul would definitely have to be the wild card because he's originally from Colombia, moved to the States, so he doesn't exactly fit the European criteria.
Yes.
A lot of people were kind of confused by that, so it is good to confirm that Paul Ardilla is working in as the wild card.
Exactly, yeah.
Awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about your team now. Obviously, we know the 66 kilogram squat is by Owen Jones, breakthrough grappler of 2024. Tell me a little bit about his game and why he didn't have to do the trials.
Well, Owen, like the Samaritan he is, he gave up his spot to young Ethan. I think Mr. Ethan was probably a bit afraid to fight him. So Owen, being the generous guy he is, he stood down to kind of keep the bond in the B team and come to obviously, Team Paradinha. Me and Owen are close friends, but I think he wanted to keep the guys happy at B team and, save Ethan from losing face. I believe Owen's a lot better than Ethan, so I think Owen did a bit of a charity for the B team in that sense. So he came straight onto our team, and I'm super happy. He's a shooter. I'm counting on him to take out Cameron Duarte. So I'm just gonna throw him out to the big guys to see if he can high-key them. And if he dies, he dies, right, Alex? So yeah, that's what we're gonna send. We're sending him out there to the dogs. So yeah, I think he's up for it as well. So.
And you have such a big personality that some of the trolls online are like, oh my gosh, Team Europe is doomed. They have Coach Faris as their coach, but you're a university graduate, a jiu-jitsu nerd that's already thinking about the strategy for Quintet. You were saying that you would look to Owen to take out a guy like Kynan Duarte. And I think a lot of people are looking at this Atos team as one of the most strong super teams that is going to be there. So when it comes to the strategy of Quintet, what have you been thinking about?
We're going basically our slogan is we're winning in the margins. That's what we're going to do, right? I don't want to give too much about the game plan, but we'll win in between the margins. Everything's going to be very tactical for us, and we will, I think, surprise a lot of people in the event. And yeah, don't doubt Coach Faradinha. Obviously, as much as I joke around, right, we're taking this very seriously and looking to try and make these boys a lot richer as a result.
Yeah, you love to joke around. You even posted on your own Instagram that said something along the lines of, how does a guy with 0 coaching credentials land the biggest coaching job in submission grappling? So what is your answer to some of the haters that ask that question?
Listen, I don't even know. Like, I even when I lose, I win. So it's just a continue. I think, winners just win, right? So I think that's kind of the answer to that question. As long as you're a winner, you win even when you lose. So that's kind of my thing. Yeah, I feel like anything I put my hand to, I'm probably the best at. I might even give John Dana a run for his money, but I'll give John Dana the gun spot. I'll take the close second, and maybe Dima can be third, right? And we'll leave Greg Saunders at the bottom because that ecological stuff, I don't know so much about that. You know what I mean?
I was about to ask, who's more likable, Coach Faris or Coach Souders?
Oh man, definitely me, man. You're not gonna take Coach Saunders out to a party. That's all I'm gonna say.
And then what about Coach Giles? Giles is kind of lovable.
Giles is Giles, man. I can't insult Lachlan, man. He's a good guy, man. So yeah, there's no hate, what do you Americans say? No fade. Is that the word?
What did you
No
say?
shade. There's no shade. There's no.
Oh,
shade
there's no
to
shade.
Lachlan.
Yes, fade.
Yeah, I like
Fade is like
Lachlan.
a haircut.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so in the lead up to the European trials, we were talking about how there might be some competition in content creation when it comes to the European trials versus Australasia. I know a lot of people were kind of hoping to see the live stream, but does this just guarantee that much more that the documentary is going to bring the full story to life?
Let me just break this down for you, okay? I got 10 minutes into the Giles trials and I switched off to go to sleep. There was no entertainment. There was no excitement. It was trash. I'm not gonna lie, man. Obviously, Lachlan did a very good PG Disney, kind of job. He made it very nice for people. Very boring. Everyone's sitting there quiet. The Faradinho show was crazy, right? That's what people are gonna come and watch. That's what people love. We're gonna smash the Giles Charles out of the park, right? We have the most crazy content that's gonna come out on YouTube. Everyone's going to see how amazing it was and that they missed out. And hopefully we can do something similar in the near future, maybe for the next event or even a couple of super fights, because we have Freddie firing Marcin for that plus 99 spot, I think. So we'll have to see. Maybe we're going to run it back and we're going to keep going until, we're smashing the content game. That's all I'm saying, man. Yeah, Lachlan Giles Charles was. Yeah, that's what we're going to say.
It had some pretty entertaining commercials. So I'm excited to see if you guys end up making any commercials, because I've seen some of the content that you've made
Listen,
alongside
Alex,
Owen. Very creative.
We don't have to make skits and commercials for our trials. The trials will do
Everything's
enough
raw,
talking.
organic with
It's
you guys.
raw. Us Brits were comedic gold, right? We Australians are originated from Britain, right? So any sort of banner they have, it's basically us, right? They kind of stole our sauce. So you'll see for itself. We don't need to do funny skits because our trials will be funny in itself, regardless, right? So yeah, they can do their little skits, right? Lachlan should stick to teaching. Kid Dell's a great actor, by the way, but Lachlan, I think we need to work on the acting skills, brother. Your jiu-jitsu speaks more for yourself. Please, just stick to the jiu-jitsu.
And we do know that the Brits have a sense of humor, but this is the European squad. And Craig was like, Polish people don't have any sense of humor, but now you got some Polish people on your team. Are they going to be able to bring that personality alongside the leg locks that they bring?
I think, we saw Pavel crack a smile in this trials. He was super happy to be there. I think he's like, we have a very tight bond. Like, I almost see him. He's like my young son, right? I will put him under my wing and we will get him out of his shell for the CJI. Obviously, Marcin, big character. The Polish people don't like him as much as the golden boy Pavel, just because he's a bit more controversial. But, if someone's controversial, I'm going to grab them and they're going to be straight on the team, right? So
in
Marcin,
what way is he controversial?
He's just a bit more boisterous. He talks a lot. Do you know what I mean? He's just a bit more of a presence, right? And, he's a great guy as well. Like, good energy. I like those kinds of people with energy. I don't want someone that's going to be on my team kind of crowding and being a bit shy. So Pavel can take all the shyness. He's all the shyness for the team, but Marcin's a bit more, he's more out there. So, yeah, he's great to have. I love Poland, by the way. I love Poland. Like, the Polish people didn't like me before, but I think they're gravitating towards me more because we're getting a couple of Poles in the team. So, who knows? We might have to do a little trip to Poland and hang out there.
Yeah, you're definitely growing on them for sure. And Marcin, he has been on the rise. PGF, such a great performance. And then also having the lone submission at the European trials. So tell me about his game and why you're so excited to have him at plus 99.
Marcin's very dynamic. He's got great leg locks. He's very physical. He can wrestle a little bit. He's there for the show, and like that's what we want, right? We want a showman who's dangerous. He can kind of be versatile anywhere. He can attack from the guard. He can play guard. He can play on top, and he can wrestle as well. So we need that versatility on the team, depending on who we're going up against in the main show. So he's a great addition to the team, and I'm very happy to have him. And the submission was great. The thing is with the submissions, like we need to remember these guys are all fighting tough guys, right? And it will be difficult to submit anyone. So even for there to be one submission, it's very impressive that he managed to do that on a much bigger opponent. So, I think we got to give some of the guys a break because they're all super tough, right? And they all probably deserve a spot to be on the team. So yeah, it came to the wire for most of the fights, to be honest with you.
And when the European Misfits team was officially announced, there was a lot of speculation. Some of the first names initially thrown out there were Mateusz Szczynski, who we know tore his bicep. Is there any chance that he ends up being involved if his injury does recover in time? Or does Pavel, locking in his spot 100% guarantee that he's in?
We haven't discussed that yet. I think we'll need to see. I believe Pavel and Mateusz are pretty close. Mateusz is an honourable man. It's all dependent on Mateusz whether he wants to fight Pavel for the spot or if Pavel would like to bend the knee and give it to his senior. So I think that's something between them, right? Either way, we're happy, right? So I'll let those guys sort out if they want to do it that way.
Yeah, it's definitely coincidental and I guess convenient that Pavel also is like the protege of Mateusz. And we also have to talk about Taylor Pierman, who was originally going to be in the 77 kilogram trials, but then he gave up that spot, moved up to 88. Do you ultimately think that was a mistake for Taylor?
It's hard to say, right? Is it a mistake for Taylor? You know what? I feel like Taylor knows himself best, right? I feel like he probably would have had a better chance maybe winning 77, but he also has a good chance to win 88, and I think he just felt more comfortable being at 88 due to the fact that that's his normal weight and he doesn't have to cut weight. So I think he made that decision based on that. He didn't want to suffer a little bit to cut the weight, which is fair enough, right? But yeah, I feel like either or he had a good chance to win either division.
And obviously there was some controversy at the end there. The only match that goes into overtime, and then the overtime rules were the ADCC rules, which means no guard pull, which is where we saw a lot of the game took place between Ardilla and Pierman. What was the energy like when the call out was made for overtime?
So yeah, people went crazy. People wanted it. People loved it. You're going to see, right? I called for it. I said, guys, you want to see overtime? Everyone was screaming. I said, you want to see overtime? The crowd went crazy. So I thought, what better way to make it an entertainment and spectacle, right, than to do, and to make it definitive, right? What people don't know is the match was a stinker. It was boring as hell, right? Both athletes didn't really want to engage so much. I think ultimately that the judge was going to give it to Paul, but I just wanted to kind of have a bit more of a definitive thing, right? So I believe, obviously, the bond being reunited between Mo and Craig, I thought, what better way to honor this than doing overtime for ADCC? So we went overtime for ADCC. In the gym, like people look at Taylor and they see him, he's a guard player and he undersells himself, saying he's only done one takedown in his whole jiu-jitsu career, but Taylor's got this world-class slide-by, right? And like I just wanted him to show the world he could wrestle and hit this slide-by on none other than the Colombian export, Paul Ardilla. Unfortunately, I feel like he couldn't do it, and Paul managed to take him down. So I feel like maybe Taylor has to spend 2-3 years in Dagestan and then come back and maybe he can have a shot to be on the team for the next CJI. But
just forget him over there.
Just leave him there, man. Let him wrestle. He'll come back a better man. Maybe lose the mustache, and we'll see him smashing out for the next trials, hopefully.
And I know you're close friends with a lot of people over there, but I did see Owen O'Flanagan just watching, enjoying. Were you a little bit bummed that he was not going to be someone that was potentially on the team?
I would have loved Owen to do the trials. Obviously, I tried to ask him and stuff. Unfortunately, he doesn't want to do it without getting paid. But ultimately, you're getting compensated based on winning the trial. So people got compensated money provided by Seth and Craig, and they're going to make that 10K for turning up to the trials. He obviously believed he should have been in the event regardless, as he gave up his spot to ADCC. But there's other people there that deserve an opportunity to earn the spot as well. So I didn't want to give it to anyone in particular, ultimately, because we want to make a show as well, right? And I think the fans deserve that. I believe if Owen did it, he would have had a super good chance of winning the trials. It's unfortunate he didn't do it, but that's his choice. And if he didn't want to do it, I can't force the guy to do it. So he was still there, so he had a good time.
And now we have Paul Ardillo moving into that 88 kilogram spot, officially locked in as your wild card. What are your thoughts about his game and what he'll be able to do for the European Misfits team?
I think, Paul's super versatile again. He can wrestle very well. He can play on the legs and has a good guard. And his pass is pretty good as well. I think he's very decent. He didn't have the best performance on his trials purely because he came off the flight like a Ronin on a Friday and, came to fight on a Saturday. So you got to have a big respect for that he could pull out the bag. He is the trials boogeyman, and it's another trials he managed to take home, right? So, he also, promised me and the team like a trip to Magic City and Atlanta. So I think we're going to have to take him up on that and run the bill up on his name. He's a lawyer, right? So I'm sure he can cover it for us jiu-jitsu guys. We made
That'll
super
definitely be a
successful
fun
financially.
trip. You guys in Atlanta would go crazy.
That's what we're doing. We're potentially going to go to Atlanta, hang out there. We got the pit walls. We're going to, train at Apex Atlanta, Owen's new gym that's coming out. So everything will be set there, and it will just be a free space for us to train with the whole team. Gather them there, make a bunch of great content to follow the journey, and it'll be good. I feel to be there. Just take people out of their routine. Ultimately, we don't want people to be stuck in their routine, having to worry about money. So I'm trying to work on trying to get some sponsors to support the guys while we're out in the States, so they can just train and focus on CJI.
And is there plans for you guys to practice together as a team? I know it's a little bit complicated, not everyone being in the same spot.
That's what we'll be doing in Atlanta. We'll be doing our training camp there, hopefully.
Wow. So let's circle back to this documentary that is going to come out. Is it just going to be one long documentary, or is it going to be a series?
I think it's going to be one long documentary, I believe. It's just going to be like a movie, right? But I think people will just sit down and watch the whole thing. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be, you got everything there, from beer being poured onto the winners to people nearly having fights to it getting run off the mats, going into the couch. It's crazy, right? And you're going to see obviously the whole build up, us organizing the event on the day, Craig being there, showgirls. It's DJ. We went all out for this. We went pure entertainment for this trials, and everyone that was there had an amazing time. I had a great time. I pretty much lost my voice, and it was one of, if not the best kind of jiu-jitsu event I've been a part of. All these other kind of jiu-jitsu events, other than CJI, are a bit boring. Especially some of the UK professional events. No one really gets a bit excited, and I think we kind of stole the show. And it's just another thing that I've managed to complete, right? First, jiu-jitsu world champion, coach, and now jiu-jitsu promoter, right? So we're just going crazy. I even made a t-shirt. We got the t-shirt.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, we got like little Faradinga promotions. So,
Getting official on us.
Walk out this, exactly, yeah.
And you definitely had the characters to do it. I saw Tommy Lancaster was there, Craig Jones obviously in the building. What was the weirdest thing that happened this past weekend?
Let me think about that. What was the weirdest thing?
Just a flashback of all the thoughts.
Oh, there was one instance in the trials, right? I think Marcin and Tom Brazier was having a mental scrap, right? And I think they got up to the wall, and Marcin jumped up onto his back, and I think Tom grabbed Marcin and jumped back into the crowd with the guy on the back, and that was pretty crazy, right? So yeah, I think that was probably one of the crazier moments. And then going into the flipping couches, yeah, it was crazy. I think there's a dent in the wall as well, to be honest, that we're probably gonna have to pay. So, yeah.
Yeah, Ben and Taylor match was definitely so crazy. I'm genuinely curious as well. Who is the better surfer? Owen Jones or Coach Faris? I know you guys go to San Diego every now and then. So who's got the better moves on the waves?
I have to go with me, innit? I think I've leveled up too much, so I'm gonna have to say me. Always trying to get to the shortboard, but he keeps falling off. So I feel like I'm staying humble with it, and I'm riding the wave all the way. Owen gets wiped out half the time. I feel like we're gonna do like we have actually a plan because me and Owen we're very competitive with one another, right? He believes he's more athletic than me, right? So we're going to do a bit of an NFL combine with some of the athletes on the Team Europe, see who the most athletic guy is on the team, and winner has all the bragging rights, and then we're probably going to try and document that as well. I believe I'm more athletic than Owen. Owen's just he's a little scrawny kid, man. You know what I'm saying? He might be more agile than me and flexible than me, but if you have to put someone, on the Vikings team in NFL, they're going to pick me, right? They're not going to pick Owen. Let's be real.
I don't know. We're going to have to see how that combine trials plans out. Is that all content that's going to be on a certain YouTube channel? What YouTube channel can they find that at?
I think we're going to probably just post that on my YouTube channel, the Being Faris YouTube channel. If B Team want to kind of feature some of them, we're happy to give some of the content to them. So I think we're going to we'll do a bit of both, right? We'll do some of the day in the life stuff on mine, and maybe kind of the bigger documentary stuff on the B Team, so people can kind of build a rapport with the Team Europe team. We kind of go a bit under the radar being on this side of the earth, so I think it's good for the people to see our personalities and enjoy what we have to bring to the show and to jiu-jitsu as a whole.
And if you could give me 3 words to describe the trials for Europe, how are you going to describe it?
3 words to describe the trials. Any 3 words? Best event ever. Best trials ever. And if we have to go anywhere, if we have to use 3 singular words, I would say chaos, hype, and entertainment. I think those are the 3 words that best describe the trials.
And that'll all be dropping in the documentary. And this is all going to be in the lead up to CJI 2, August 30th and 31st. Is there anything else you want to let the fans know about?
I think just, stay in touch, guys. Follow us, follow the team. We're going to do some big things. We're going to have some good stuff coming out online. The documentary series, firstly, being a whole, and then we're going to build up on that throughout the whole CJI. So we're going to see, you're going to get insight to us, you're going to get insight to me, Owen, Jonas, Pavel, Charles, Paul, and Marcin, right? And then we're probably looking to do maybe another sort of trials for this Martin and Freddie match if it goes down. So I think, make your call here, see this trials, see what you think, and then, get ready for the next one because it's just going to keep getting better and better, I feel.